everyone, I'm SpiderMan 1991. With Christmas just around the corner, you might be struggling. You might need some gift ideas for someone who's difficult to buy. If someone is difficult to buy, but you do know that they like reading Marvel comics or watch Marvel movies or TV shows, well, hopefully while you watch this video, you'll get some gift ideas from the things I recommend that you can give to that person. For the Spider-Man fan in your life, I recommend getting them Spider-Man: The Death of Gwen Stacy. This was definitely one of the good things that I think Amazing Spider-Man 2 got right. The Death of Gwen Stacy. It was a good part, very emotional part in the movie, very well done, and the story arc itself, and the actual story arc, the actual death of Gwen Stacy. I think that's something that a lot of people are going to enjoy. A bunch of people say it's one of the best Spider-Man comics, and I agree. This is definitely my favorite story arc that Spider-Man has ever produced. Also, though, I just want to point out that the edition that I'm holding is no longer in print, though. I got this one off eBay a couple of years ago, but they did recently make a new edition called Spider-Man: Death of the Stacys, which includes not just Gwen's death, but the death of her father, Captain George Stacy. So, if you know a Spider-Man fan, I definitely recommend Death of Gwen Stacy. Next up, based on one of the best Marvel movies that was pretty much considered one of the best ones since the Avengers, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I'm recommending the actual story arc, Captain America: Winter Soldier. Now, this one really, the story arc and the movie basically have one thing in common, which is the return of Bucky Barnes as the Winter Soldier. Now, but this was also the opening story arc for writer Ed Brubaker when he took over the Captain America, when he relaunched the Captain America title, and he pretty much wrote Captain America maybe from like 2008 up until the start of Marvel Now. So, and he definitely came back in a big way because he pretty much brought Bucky Barnes back. Bucky came back, and Brubaker actually did it very well done. I think this is probably one of the best resurrection stories in comics because Bucky's not the same. They pretty much turned Steve's young, lovable sidekick into basically a hardened Cold War assassin who has no memory of his past life, and that's the struggle that Steve Rogers faces. He has to take down this deadly enemy, but he also wants his best. He also knows his best friend is alive, and he wants him back. And how can he stop the enemy without hurting his friend? So yeah, overall, it's a definitely great story arc. And if you did love Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and you know someone who loves Captain America: Winter Soldier, you should definitely get them this title, especially since they just reprinted the entire story arc in one book. Originally, it was 2 books, but now it's 1. So yeah. Now there's another Marvel movie that did extremely well, and some people, and I think the debate for this year was which Marvel movie was better, Captain America 2 or Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, this one's on my iPad because the book I'm recommending is Guardians of the Galaxy by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, Volume 1. They're pretty much, originally they wrote the series back in 2008. This year, which kind of rebooted the Guardians franchise in the present-day Marvel universe, and it was one of the inspirations for the movie that came out. The reason the title is on my iPad is because it's nearly impossible to find the original trade paperbacks that came out. Originally, the entire series was put out as 4 trade paperbacks and 4 hardcover editions, but they were impossible to find. But once the movie came out, they decided to reprint the stories in larger paperback volumes called Guardians of the Galaxy, and by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, Ultimate Collection, I believe. And there's two books, although now those are starting to become hard to find. So honestly, your best option, I really think the best option for you is to definitely get the series digitally because it's really great. I honestly think it is great. Before Guardians of the Galaxy came out, I decided to check out their run, and it was very good. It was amazing. I mean, these are characters that are probably some of the most obscure characters in Marvel comics, but once you read them, you start to realize, like, crap, these guys are actually pretty interesting. So really, if you like Guardians of the Galaxy, if you know someone who loved Guardians of the Galaxy, the movie, which, let's face it, that is a lot of people, then you should definitely definitely get them, The Guardians of the Galaxy by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning, whether it's digital or if you're lucky enough to find an actual paperback version. The next book I'm going to recommend is a part of the Marvel Universe that is definitely something that Marvel is trying to push, especially since Marvel Studios doesn't have the rights to the X-Men. I'm, of course, talking about Inhumans. Now, this book isn't just a good recommendation for a fan of the Marvel movie universe, but it's also good for someone who really likes watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., especially the way the winter finale that just happened, the way it ended. They actually made the direct reference to the Inhumans. They had the Terrigen crystals, they had Skye and Reyna undergo Terrigenesis, which is the process an Inhuman goes through to gain their powers. And of course, it revealed that Skye was Daisy Johnson, aka Quake. But that character in the comics isn't an Inhuman, but still, it's a good explanation to explain why some characters are just basically born with powers or how they got it. But back to the book I'm recommending, Inhumans. It's by Paul Jenkins with art by Jay Lee. I recommend this book because it's a really great introduction to the Inhumans. It's 12 issues long, and it's very self-contained. I mean, it really is. There's not really much involvement with the other superhero characters in the Marvel Universe. Reed Richards just makes one cameo. The only other non-Inhuman character that appears in this title is Reed Richards, and he's just appearing on a television conference when the government is talking about going to war with the Inhumans. And that's not the basic plot of the book. We also get introduced to the culture of the Inhumans. We see Inhuman children who are about to undergo Terrigenesis. So honestly, I think if you know someone who loves the Marvel Universe, loves Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., has no idea what the Inhumans are, definitely check out this book. Alright, the next book I'm going to recommend has to do with the movie that's not out yet. Avengers Age of Ultron. Now, the story arc I'm recommending that you should get someone who's really excited for Age of Ultron is a story arc that's only 4 issues long. It took place in the 90s Avengers series, issues 19 to 22, and the most common place and the story arc is called Ultron Unlimited. And basically what happens is Ultron builds an army of himself. He builds armies of adamantium drones of himself, which he controls, and in this story arc he uses them to basically annihilate and commit mass genocide to the European nation of I hope I'm saying this right, Slornia. Weird name. Anyways, Ultron basically commits mass genocide, and he plans on pretty much wiping out humanity and replacing them all with drones of himself. Okay, so basically the Avengers are really challenged because now they don't just have to fight Ultron, who basically has an adamantium body, but like almost hundreds of Ultrons with adamantium bodies as well. Well, I don't think the drones have adamantium, but like a secondary adamantium. It's not as strong as Ultron's, but anyways, Ultron, basically I looked up a lot of lists about great Ultron story arcs, and this was definitely #1 on a lot of them, and I agree. It definitely shows a big threat. It definitely shows how powerful Ultron is, how deadly he is, and I think a lot of people are going to enjoy it. The story arc, though, if you don't want to get the issues digitally, it's only 4 issues long, but if you don't want to get digital, it is collected and as part of the Avengers Assemble series of trade paperbacks in Volume 2. This one, when I bought it on eBay, it was definitely people knew about it, and there was definitely some bidding wars over it. But overall, if you're lucky enough to find it, good luck to you coming out. And also, it does have a brief history of Ultron. Ultron is included in this book, so that'll also help people familiarize with Ultron. So if you know someone who's excited for Avengers 2, which is coming out this spring, this is definitely a book that you should have put under their tree. Okay, and the last book I'm going to recommend also has something to do with Avengers 2, but has to do with Ultron. It has to do with the other 2 characters that we're being introduced to, the twins, Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. Now, Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch, there is definitely some debate. Well, there was some, I'd say, friction between Marvel Studios and Fox over the rights of Quicksilver, because even though Quicksilver is a mutant, as as is his sister. Quicksilver and Wanda are basically more involved with the Avengers than they are with any of the X-Men teams. And even though Quicksilver has been more of an X-Factor guy, so Quicksilver was definitely more of a issue rather than the Scarlet Witch. And also now their status as mutants, I think, is going to be called into question since it was recently revealed that Magneto. Well, spoiler alerts for Axis, but Magneto has no blood connection to the twins. So no idea how that's going to work out. But anyways, back to the list idea. Keep getting off topic. The book I'm going to recommend for people who are curious about Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, Avengers Knights of Wanda. This basically explored Wanda and Pietro's origins before it was officially revealed that Magneto was their dad at the time. And basically it starts off with their foster father coming to Avengers Mansion and using some magic to control them as to turn them into puppets, and trying to get them to come home with him. And eventually they do return back to their homeland with the old man, and then they actually find out their origin, how their mother died with them in childbirth, and they were initially raised by and they were found by the High Evolutionary and his assistant Bova, who eventually gave the twins to a gypsy couple nearby in the town of Wundagore. And also in the present, we see that this demon called Chthon has basically possessed Wanda, and now the Avengers are called in to stop him. So yeah, this was definitely a good idea. So I would definitely recommend this because there was no reference to Magneto, and since Magneto's paternity is being called into question now in the comics, and also since Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch won't be mutants in the movies, this is definitely a good story that focuses on just the twins. It doesn't focus on Magneto or anything else. I mean, the only reference to Magneto is just how he met the twin, how he saved Wanda from being attacked by a mob, and how they joined the Brotherhood. That's it. That's basically the only thing. That's basically the only X-Men reference you get in this story. Other than that, it's just basically pure Avengers and focused on the twins. So that's something I would definitely recommend you get someone who's very interested about Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you again for watching this video. I hope some people took some of the recommendations I made to heart, and they have some idea about what to get some Marvel fans for Christmas. Again, thank you for watching. I'm also making another video about what to get DC Comics fans, so that should be up shortly after this one. Again, thank you for watching. I'm SpiderMan 1991, wishing everyone a happy holidays.